So hello and welcome to Donny Chaingang with me and Matt Payne. We're live in the Full Speed Event Studio and we are back. Yes, we're back. It's the WOW DCG, the Women Only Wednesdays on the Donny Chaingang. We've already seen a great month in September of open Donny Chaingangs with lots of our riders no doubt going to be riding both, and looking forward to seeing everybody on the Chaingang. Now, for those of you who were with us last year, you'll know exactly what the format is, and you'll know that we had our regular yellow beacon, and the person who stitches it all together is the one and only Emma Martin. Now, Emma is not riding at the moment, and that means that we've taken the opportunity to do a few tweaks and changes to the ride on the way through, instigated by Emma. And who better to explain them down here in the studio and to join me bringing you the coverage than Emma. So welcome, Emma, to the commentary down here in the Full Speed Event Studio. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you, Matt. Good evening, everybody. It's great to be here in some form today, though not on a bike, down here in the studio with Matt, which is fantastic. So you're right, Matt. We have new format for October because I am not the Yellow Beacon this month. We have guest Yellow Beacons all throughout October, and it's been a fantastic opportunity for us to do that. So first up tonight, our first Yellow Beacon of October is Sammy Stewart.
Well, we're looking forward to getting to say hello to Sammy in a little while. So you're not riding at the moment, not able to jump on the start line, but you've been designing all the routes. You've been working out the distances. We've got a few changes on things like power-ups as well. And there's going to be a few people potentially who've not ridden a Donny Chaingang before as well.
Yeah, so we have indeed been looking at all the routes, not just for this month, but for the whole year, to make sure that between now and the end of March, when the WOW DCG runs, that we've got something for everybody, that we've got things that we think are going to end in a sprint, things that we think will end in a climb, all sorts of dynamics to suit different riders and different races. Short ones with laps, long ones, etc. You name it, we're trying to put it in there. So there's something for everyone, as well as our old favourites. And we start here today with one of what we think is one of the Donny Chaingang favourite courses.
Well, I think that leads in quite nicely to where we're heading. There we go. Greater London Flat, 43k. Talk us around the course, Emma.
Yeah, so we've got a lead in today, Matt, of 5.7 kilometres, which then leads us into 3 laps of the Greater London Flat course. So 3 laps, 11.6k per lap, will take us to a finish at the sprint banner. The finish will be at the green sprint banner on the mall at 40.5 kilometres. You've then got around 1.2 kilometres of warm down to take you to what will be the blue banner, which is the event end at around 43 kilometres.
So we're going to go round the loop, basically putting in the laps. Now, it's bumpy on the roll-in. We've got a circuit that is predominantly flat but with rises, and it is a tricky course for our riders to hold together, particularly from that start line where we're heading out. So when we go onto that start line, you can just see that red section through. That's the lead-in, and that is where we often see our red beacons who are sweeping and our yellow beacons working really hard to keep everyone together.
Yeah, in fact, the lead-in is, I would say, the trickiest bit on this course. So ideally, Sammy is yellow beacon today. You need to stay with Sammy. You need to stay with the yellow beacon and follow her instructions on the screen. But Sammy will roll out, as we normally do on the Donny Chaingang, around 2 watts per kilo. And the aim will be to stay at 2 watts per kilo, not to push on, but to stay at that pace until Sammy indicates a rise in the pace. And she will control the pace today and ramp it as she would like to until we see the traditional Donny Chaingang go, 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 given by Sammy, and then that's the terminology for take it to the finish line.
Indeed, and there are no limits. The limiter is thrown out of the window, isn't it? That is when it is about getting there as fast as you can, and that is also about making sure that you find a group as well. So you can see the course here. There are trigger points on this course. My view always is that the key trigger point is at the underpass under Hyde Park Corner. So the circuit itself is down the Mall, up Constitution Hill, down through St James's Park, down past the Houses of Parliament and Westminster Abbey, along the embankment and around the river, heading in a clockwise direction. The climb up then in towards Kensington, dropping back down in towards Hyde Park Corner, where our blue dot is now, and then the climb up and over around. That, for me, is the key point. And I think we can show you that better with the Velo Viewer graphic. Now, Velo Viewer, great supporters of Donny Chaingang. I've got to say a massive, massive thank you to them. They have looked after our riders and looked after the gang by giving us all these great graphics. And don't forget, of course, you can go on, you can spin this, you can twist it, you can stretch it up, you can stretch it out. We try and use exactly the same scaling on every single ride. So if you see this looking really hilly, it's not because we stretched it up, it's because that is the scale it's at. We keep the same one all the way through, whether it's the Donny Chaingang, the WOW DCG or similar. So you'll see on the screens at the moment the graphics. We come into the circuit on the top right hand corner, and that downward ramp, that is the mile, that is the sprint. We then go up the Constitution Hill, turn around, and then drop down and come around the loop. So we're going basically around the bottom of the circuit, and that takes us around by the river. And then we've got that long draggy climb. Remember, that's where it gets tougher, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and you do have to watch it because it is quite deceptive. You know, all of a sudden you can see what was quite a large blob start to become a long snake. Real Zwift terminology there. But in terms of how that riding pack is going, and you see it might not be a particularly steep hill, but actually it does create a bit of a drag, and you do just have to keep your eyes out, and you know just keep your cadence going for it, just to watch that you don't get dropped off the back of that group, because as we all know, 1 second or 2 seconds behind that group, because it will be travelling really quick. Even at around 2.5 watts per kilo, the group will move really fast on this course tonight.
It will indeed. And the rider who's charged with looking after them at the front, well, it is our yellow beacon. It's Sammy Stewart. You can see Sammy in action on the left of your screens there, of a familiar figure blasting down the road solo. But tonight she's charged with looking after everybody. And, of course, full-time firefighter as well. Great beacon and a regular on the Donny Chaingang, Emma.
Yeah, she is indeed. So last season, you know, as you say, Sammy's been a regular on the Donny Chaingang, and last season she was red beacon for us a couple of times. And when I dropped her a message the other week to see if she'd do this for us, I think she came back to me so quickly I nearly fell off my chair, which was absolutely wonderful. So really, really good to have Sammy kicking off the season as Yellow Beacon tonight.
So Yellow Beacon is a rider charged with looking after everybody and firing that go, go, go signal, ramping it up. But just importantly, if not more importantly, to be honest, it's our red beacon. And our red beacon is somebody who once actually lived on the course for a Zwift route. Does it get any more local knowledge than that? Not that we're using the course tonight, thank goodness, because that would have been really mean.
Indeed, Joe. So, yeah, Joe indeed did live on the Richmond course once in the USA. So, not London, but, you know, Richmond UCI course.
Yeah, so Joe Jarvis is our red beacon. Our yellow beacon is Sammy Stewart. And our riders are lined out on the start line here. So the gang lined up and ready to go. We can see them down on the start now. And you can see the message board just starting to come up on the screens here as these riders are just making sure they all get the chat in there. So the countdown is on. Our riders are about to set off and head out on to the course. Let's see how they get on as they head out on to the circuit. Let's see who is going to be able to take it out. Here we go. So the rider's shooting off from the start. We're going to jump in with one of our regulars, in with Charlotte Colclough at the moment. So Charlotte at the moment just trying to work her way up. I'm sure we'll see Sammy just pulling this group in to order up at the front. So let's jump in with the rider proper on our screens. Let's give you a little bit of the sounds of London simultaneously. Yeah, you'd be pulling those up. And this start is critical, isn't it, Emma?
It is indeed. And it is one of the real tricky bits, because you've got to get everybody off of the start line, and not everybody moves off the start line as quickly if there's any technical glitches, for example. Whilst riders automatically go onto, as we talked about, a small rise. So we do need to be careful, and we do need to keep everybody together, because it does stretch off this start line. So as Sammy is doing, keeping it to 2 watts per kilo at the start will enable that group to form and then for the ride to begin.
So just seeing one or two riders just having a few technical issues, but I think Joe Jarvis is the rider in the red beacon roll. Let's take a quick look. We'll get our drone up already on the disc wheel for Joe. So Joe Jarvis from the Aeonian squad, a rider who you know rather well, I think, Emma.
Yeah, so Joe and I have raced in the same team on the AEO squad for quite some time. And Joe has been, as you've just said, Matt, not only riding the women's Donny Chaingang, but the Tuesday and Thursday Donny Chaingang as well. In fact, I think she was on Thursday night, wasn't she, last week?
I think she was. Don't ask me who's been on every single Chaingang. That's thousands and thousands of riders. I'm going to say right now, I never remember everybody. It's juggling out everything on the way through. But it looks like most people out and from the start line. And we've got a real who's who. So Joe is our red beacon. Let's drop in on Sammy Stewart. So Sammy in a very distinctive kit here in that Canyon bike, and in the Wahoo kit here, the Canyon Wahoo kit. So Sammy Stewart is our yellow beacon, and you can see that chevron up over her head. This is the rider who everybody, it's basically all pile on Sammy, isn't it? It's like that childhood game that you used to play. The closer you can get to our beacon, the better it is.
It is indeed. You're right. The closer you can stay with yellow all the way until, to be honest, with Sammy Stewart at yellow, if you can stay with Sammy Stewart once the go's gone, I'd be one very happy woman. But yeah, that is the name of the game. The name of the ride is that you stay with the yellow beacon and you follow the yellow beacon's instructions on the screen. And this isn't a standard ride. This is a controlled, paced ride by the yellow beacon until the go, when it is a free-for-all to the finish line. But as we've said, the red beacon is there to sweep. So if we have riders detached from the group and who drop back off, the red beacon will help, sometimes calling on other riders in the group to form a nice tail and chain off of the blob to bring a rider back on. Likewise, if the pace starts to move up and the pace gets too strong for you tonight, the red beacon will be there at the back with a nice group rolling around. And once the go, Matt, it really is a free-for-all, and it is a case of find the group that is at the pace you're ready to ride at and work together to the finish.
Indeed, so our riders off and away, heading in and through, and as Sammy Stewart is just commenting there, beautiful to see everybody. Looks like basically everyone just about around. Don't forget, if you jump in late, you will be transported in to the ride, and if you do have tech issues, it does pay to jump in with the group, to come back out and jump back in again. Now, I think Robbins at the moment, again, another drop out there. So it looks like Catherine just having issues here on the way through. So tricky. Kerry Robbins. Kerry, jump back out, jump back in again. And the group will pick you back up again. If you get yourself in and pedaling at about 2.5 watts per kilo, you will pop out right in the middle of the group. In theory, doesn't always work in practice. So the aim of the game, to keep riding nice and smoothly. We're down in the centre of London, and this is stunning. I've spent a lot of time working on the embankment, working around Westminster, Whitehall. They didn't put me in charge of anything, don't worry. Not even I, although I think not even I could make quite as much of a shambles as we've got at the moment. But it is an area I know well. It's absolutely stunning in the sunshine like this. It's not so much fun when it absolutely pours with rain, but the views are stunning. The architecture is amazing, and got to say, great to see that the gang is in and on the way through. So just like IRL-ish, yes, definitely is just about. Now, let's have a little look. We're just going to see a little bit of work going on from our red beacon. So just having a little look here. So just at the back here, just going to need to just do a little bit of a squeeze, I think, because 8 seconds down is our next rider. So this is where the beacons come in to their own. So we're just going to jump in with Victoria here. So Victoria jumping in on the gang. Victoria going to have to put a little bit of a squeeze on here. The front group no doubt will be very aware of this. So Joe just going to hang up fire and just get Victoria in. So Victoria putting out a nice 2.5 watts per kilo. Joe's here. Here we go. Now this is what it's about, keeping that timing right. So Joe's got to pick this pace up, which she's going to do now, and then as she picks up that pace, you can see the cadence increasing. She's now on the chase here, and this is what it's about. Then they're going to work together, hopefully, to get themselves back on the group, and they've timed it quite well here because they should have the group slowing off as it hits the climb. Should. Famous last words. I don't want to curse anything.
Yeah.
So the number 6 key If you have a keyboard, it's very, very handy. It's the ability to look behind. So if we instantly do this, if we were Joe, presses number 6, you can see behind. We'll go back to our drone camera and take our drone up in the air. The group in front just going round that corner. Victoria just flew past. So Victoria, the beacon's there for you. Jump in and get some assistance on the way through. Victoria riding on the standard Zwift bike there, and wheel sets. So going to have to put out a few more watts per kilo than Joe will for the same pace and power, just to get up at the climb. There is an advantage in a couple of occasions actually where the standard bike is easier, but it's all about being in there. So Sammy Stewart just regulating the front. The chases on behind. These are our 2 chasers trying to make the way up. It's about 13 seconds to the group with Sammy Stewart. Sammy just tucked at the back of the group. Looks like Foxy in the group. That's Lisa back with us. Good to have you back, Lisa. We got Sarah McKay in here. We've got, I think it's John Lee. Ursula Jordan's back with us. Good to see you back. Another of our riders who we saw last season. Let's see where the rest of the groups are. Becky Porter-James keeping an eye on the back of that pack. That red beacon starting to make its way up. So our riders on their way at the moment. Just going to head out and round here. So Joe Jarvis just putting the group in. Sammy just up the road. Going to have to get that group back in together. So the riders on the way up at the side of the circuit at the moment. We're going to be keeping an eye on here. I think our rider Victoria just leaving the group there. So Joe with a bit of a chase to do now. There's a few people just off the back, so it looks like Sammy just going to try and drag the group back together again. So our helicopter just keeping an eye on our riders or watching this group. Hopefully just pull itself back together again. Looking good at the moment. Got Charlotte Colclough on here. Another of our regulars on the Chaingang just in and watching Sammy at the moment. So back in with Sammy Stewart here, just coming up the side of Constitution Hill. The eagle-eyed amongst you will have worked out at the moment that we are going a very abnormal way into what is normal Greater London Flat. So looks like we are heading in the slightly different direction to what was planned. Always entertaining moment in the commentary when we realise that, and the silence usually indicates that the panic station is on 104 the route that we are on. So we'll see how we go. Still on 11 minutes at the moment. Let's see how those riders are rolling at the moment. They're looking good.
Yeah, and we can see that Joe Jarvis, the red beacon, is about to make the catch to the group. So great work from Joe there. Dropped back to collect one of the riders at the back. As riders stepped off, and oof, 18 seconds chase back on. Joe Jarvis has just done a cracking effort to get there. So well done, Joe. That was an amazing effort to get back onto that group, and that group are welcoming you with open arms, I hope.
Okay, so our riders are continuing on downwards and heading in and through. The circuit looking good. We're definitely not on Greater London Flat. Watch this space. We will let you know exactly where that finish line will be.
So we're back in with the group who are moving nicely along this road. Sammy's got this group looking like it's rolling at around 2 watts per kilo. Still, we are 13 minutes in and the blob is all together, with Joe just, our red beacon, just watching closely off the back, which is absolutely fantastic, as this group rolls around London. It's interesting, we've got some, I think I've noticed Maddie Smith. Yep, indeed, Maddie Smith is back in with us. So Maddie, really good to have you riding again with us this winter. Not seen you for ages, so really good to see you back on a bike and back on the Chaingang. So a few other riders in there as well. It's lovely to start seeing those names pop back up again. You know, so Helen Jackson, yeah, Charlotte Coldclough, lots of names in here, so really good as we roll round. Now what's going to be really interesting today is I have no idea, and it's a very strange feeling having no idea at when the pace is going to pick up, when the go, go, go is going to go, and now that is all down to Sammy Stewart today. So we are currently in with Sammy Stewart as she is embedded in the middle of that pack of riders. We've got 31 riders on the start line and on the event today, so for those eagle-eyed ones amongst you, we are not rolling in the direction that we thought we would be rolling, and indeed which the event tells us we would be rolling in Zwift. So we've all signed up for Greater London Flat tonight. We seem to be going the wrong way around at the moment, so a little bit of frantic work going on in the studio here as we speak at the moment, trying to sort out where we are, where we're going and where the finish line will be. But as soon as we've got that sorted, we will be with you. Maddie, it is great to see you as well, so lovely to see the message boards are working.
So as Emma says, just going to be doing a little bit of an update. This is now Greatest London Flat. We will be bringing you a fixed points finish, and we will update you, and that will be coming out on your screens. It's not the first time it's happened. It won't be the last time it's happened, and I'm sure we'll see this again. So plenty of action on the way through. We'll get you the details on the exact finishing point, and we'll let you know that very shortly indeed. In the meantime, back over to Emma.
Yeah, so we are doing a little bit of work behind the scenes here, guys, to get you sorted. But we are in with the group as we are rolling around London, as we turn around that tight corner. That's funny, man. I agree. I would agree. Just keep going until Sammy shouts, stop, stop, stop. But I guarantee at some point she will shout, go, go, go. And that's the way we want to see it happen. So, as we are rolling around London... No, Joanne Lee, we cannot stop at 20k. You are 9k in. I am loving this. There's always something sent to challenge us, isn't there? But you know, we are absolutely loving this. So, as we're rolling around London at the moment, Sammy's got the group rolling around 2.5 watts per kilo by the look of this. And this is a really nice pack and group of 30 riders today. So, all looking great at the moment. Sammy seems to have a very well controlled bunch here today, which is really good to see. We've got a number of our Ionian riders in there. So Joe Jarvis currently in our red beacon in the Ionian strip. We've also got, I'm having a look down the list, I think it's Cindy who's with us today, which is really great to see. 2 regular WOW DCG riders of last season, so fabulous to have the Ionian squad represented today by Joe and Cindy. One of the really strong women's teams on Zwift, with indeed the current esports world champion as part and parcel of that squad. So great to see.
So we are back. We've been doing some head scratching and some crunching now. Of all the routes to get thrown onto, going onto a greatest London flat is not what you want to go onto. Now this is where our beacons have to be dynamic and responsive, a bit like the studio is down here. If we can cope in a flood, up to our armpits in the squidgy stuff yesterday, putting the broadcast out, we can manage to do this. So here we go. We are going to have a shorter route tonight because we are going to go to the last fixed point on the course, because the only other option is just to run to the blue banner for everybody, which would give us the full distance, but we'd have no warm down. That is our dilemma at the moment. We are scratching our heads here at the moment, and we are going to get back to our riders. So we are just going to consult our yellow beacon because they have to run the ride themselves, and then we will come back to you and let you know whether we're going to be running for blue or we are going to be running in a shorter loop that brings us in at the K finish. And this is going to be down to our ride leader to call, so watch this space. So whilst gang are currently in limbo land, wondering how far they're going to go, let's have a quick hunt through our riders here and just have a quick check. Everybody rolling along very well. Good to see Maddie Smith, Terminator T1, the Mark 1 Terminator in there. We got Tivis in the gang as well here, so good to see that we've got Heather Timmis in. So Heather in with us. We've got Emma Dooley, one of our regulars in here. Tiffany Fletcher. Oh my goodness. Is it Tiff or is it Tracy? That's Tiff for sure. So Tiffany Fletcher. Tiff, bring on the addiction, basically. This was a rider who was so addicted to us, she actually had to go for therapy. I'm not making this up, honest, Gov. For her addiction to the Donny Chaingang. So we'll see whether or not she's able to match that this winter on the way through. Foxy's here, Lisa Jane Lake. Lisa's with us once again. Good to see Lisa's back on board. Again, that's a nice strip. I want to know how you can have that strip. That's a very, very funky strip, that is. Even got an eco pocket on it, which is great to see. The gang are working well here today.
Okay, decision made.
Oh, right, okay, so I am in the dark as you are. There's only Emma and our yellow beacon who know where they're going. Now, shall we tell you what the options were? No, we're not.
I'm just going to give you the answer. I don't want to confuse anybody, Matt.
Okay, keep it simple for stupid people like me.
So whilst you look like you are going round the wrong way around London, you are indeed. But the blue event end banner at 43 kilometres will be the finish of the event. There will be no warm down within the event. You'll need to do your own warm down tonight. So we are going, ladies, to 43 kilometres. Sammy will take you into the go, 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 and 43k will be the end of the the Donny Chaingang tonight. The blue banner that previously, if you've ridden before, has been your warm down banner, and the finish of the event is going to be your finish line tonight. So it is going to be all out the blue banner tonight. Can
I just say that wasn't the option I wanted? I wanted the other one. It was much easier. It was a lot easier. Then you could have just rolled round a lot longer at the end. But do you know what? It's up to our yellow beacon. So I'm loving the response here. So we are going to say, well, you guys asked for it. Come on. Or more importantly, you jumped on the ride with our beacon. So Sammy Stewart is in here. Now the question is, this group is rolling well at the moment. Looks like McGlady at the back here. Good to see in with the gang. Good to have you on board with us, because it's always great to see when our riders jump on board. Amanda McGlady is in here.
Sammy is so right. It ain't easy. It's the Donny Chaingang.
It is indeed. So, Amanda McCladdy, one of our news. Now, Ruben, who is a relation, oddly enough, is a regular on the DCG. And good to see that Amanda is here on the Donny Chaingang on a Wednesday, women's only Wednesdays. 31 riders on the start line. And remember, those positions on your screens are where our riders are in that group. Good to see that Kerry Robbins has made it back in with us. Kerry, well done. Congratulations. Whoop! Here we go. Kerry is on board, on the train, and riding well. Tucked in nicely, grabbing plenty of draft on the way through. So well done, Kerry, jumping on board. And Kerry's distances, of course, will be slightly different to everybody else. But that is one of the reasons why we have that late join, because if we do have technical issues, you can jump in and around. Now, good to see that we've got Sarah Hawkins back in with us. Sarah, another of our regular riders. Sarah Louise Hawkins, regular all last season. Don't forget, of course, the WOW DCG is on every single Wednesday. And I promise you, we're going to go back through. I'm going to go take somebody. In fact, I've got a big trench outside the studio at the moment. That's about 30 feet long. It's not quite 6 feet deep. But it's sure I could squeeze somebody in there. Maybe not all in one piece, but we'll see. I do have a reputation to keep down, let's face it. Come on. This is a man who threatened to set fire to a team truck if they didn't pay him.
Shall we just admit the fact we've had one absolute success today because there is no more water in the studio. We have fixed the leak.
Oh, well done.
Let's just take the one success of today.
That guarantees there's going to be a tidal wave heading our way in a bit, but there you go. So, yeah, it looks like that is progress in the studio, which is something. Right, let's jump on to another rider Emma will know well. Emma, tell us something that we don't know about Cindy Gagan. I'm presuming it's Cindy and not Chloe. It's Cindy.
It is indeed Cindy in with us tonight. But, you know, as an AEO squad, having two having two members with the same initial and the same surname definitely counts for some confusion sometime. Cindy, something, I don't know. We have an AEO dogs messenger group.
Okay.
Cindy is very active on that with her dogs.
What sort of dog does she have?
Oh, that's a really good thing. Now you're going to put me on the line. She's got some small ones.
Some
I'm going to have a
dogs.
little look. Small ones.
All of them seem small.
She'll probably be able to tell us in a minute what they actually are, but off the top of my head, I can't tell you. But she does have some very cute dogs.
I love the fact that we can throw you by having a having a different route come in.
Joe also has a dog too.
Joe, it's a common thing. Nice people bike riders. Joe and you also have
I
dogs.
know.
So here we are. We're in with Amanda McClarty in here on the descent down at the moment. So Amanda just on the way. 8 schnauzers apparently. I love the fact that everybody is actually listening to us on the way through. What's that all about? Let's face it. So at the moment the gang working well, and let's just take a little bit of a check, see if we can make sure all of our riders are tucked just about in. I think Jo now's just starting to make her way backwards here. Somebody's got 2 Rhodesian Ridgeback. You see, this is the thing that you just don't find out on other rides. We have a GSP, also known as the Bleep Bleep Lunatic, who is absolutely lovely, love him a bit, but mental. So, Indiana, named after Indy, the explorer, Indiana Jones, named by the kids. They didn't choose Amundsen or Scott when we asked them for an explorer. And it's partly because, if you remember the scene on the way through, the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the Indy goes in, and then he comes running out, and the next thing he goes appearing towards the aeroplane, being chased by a whole load of angry tribesmen. Well, that is exactly just what our dog is like. He would be into everything. You'd think he's really clever, and then get the living daylights chased out of him for being a loon. And that is how it works. That is quite literally how it works, which is why he is named Indy. But I'm loving some of these names. Luca's a very cool name.
Yeah.
Luca the Dachshund. Not that you can lounge on Emma.
No, I'm trying to convince Matt that we have a dachshund as well, but as in little and large, because they would be quite funny. But I am loving the fact that we've got Labradors, we've got Spaniels, we've got Cockapoos, we've got Schnauzers, we've got Rhodesian Ridgebacks.
Lola and Kobe. I haven't seen any names I don't like. It's just obviously a quality dog owner on the WoW DCG and DCG. I had to wait for the day when the DCG Facebook page, which you please do go on, is on there. And don't forget, of course, come and join us on DCG. Come and join the DCG gang. So if you're wondering how on earth we manage not only to spend all of our time making sure the rides run, putting in the routes, putting in the timing, liaising with our beacons, supporting our riders, as well as writing membership emails and keeping all of the show on the road, then what we do is we have the DCG gang, and some amazing members of the Donny Chaingang got together and decided that they'd look after Russ and myself, Matt Payne, and they'd help contribute towards the running costs, which are rather exhaustive. They are huge, they are big, they're not little, and they do make a difference, those costs, if we were to just keep on absorbing themselves. And it is key that you support the gang, guys, so please, if in doubt, please do give us a look in on the members' emails. There are loads of great discounts, so 20% off Gritty, 20% off OTE, 20% off on the wheels from Halo as well, 20% off from Velo Skin, the best thing to sit on a saddle with, and other than your posterior, obviously. So it is really key. It doesn't work though, they're not soothing for splinters. If you don't know what I mean, watch last night's coverage. Right, back to the ride. Back to the riders who are out on the course at the moment. We're just watching our little group at the back here, so I think it's going to need to be a little bit of a shout out from the group in front. Remember, we're at 20k, 33 kilometres in at the moment, and I'm sure Sammy will be just taking a little bit of a look at these riders behind as they start to make the way down this straight here and head around the side. This is a lumpy, bumpy section of the course here, and you can just see that gap holding at about 8 seconds. If we take a look back from in the group, you can see those chasers just behind Joanne Lee, another of our absolute regulars on the WoW DCG and the Donny Chaingang.
Yeah, definitely. And when Sammy called for the group to go to 3 watts per kilo, this is the type of thing you can start to see now. The gradient's gone up a little bit, and there's a little bit of elastic just off the back of that group now, with that small group of riders around 10 seconds behind the main group now.
And we're coming up to 20.2k here on the Donny Chaingang, going out live on the Full Speed Events and Downing Cycling YouTube channels. We are also, of course, heading out on the Donny Chaingang Facebook page, and it is pretty key, guys. Please remember, do make sure that you jump on the Facebook page to get all of that support on the way through. Our riders at the moment looking good as they head up and over, and as you can see, the riders just working their way through the leafy Surrey lanes on the side of the Surrey Hills, transported by the magic of Zwift.
Yeah, so as we are now got an overhead shot of the group stretched as we're still at 2% on this slight uphill segment, with the yellow beacon just off the back, calling for a bit of a hold up and a wait to bring that group back together again.
So Sammy just calling for a slight easing on the front. Let's have a little bit of a check. We are just got a number of riders off the back, so it looks like Sarah McKay going to be heading for our beacon group. I'll tell you something, that red beacon group of the bus that's forming with McLardy and Jarvis, they're ticking along at a right old rate of knots. They're about nearly 2.5 watts per kilo here.
Yeah, well, Matt, we've always said the red bus will normally roll around 2 to 2.5 watts per kilo, but whatever is relevant for the back of the group. And Joe, indeed, they are ticking along very nicely at around that pace today.
And McKay currently just off the back of the pace. We've got Jessup. So let's have a little look. Jessup at the moment has got 11 seconds to make back. Come on, Claire. And it's time to give us a bit of a day. She's at 3.2 watts per kilo here. Let's dive down on the wheels of Claire. So Claire at the moment, she's got Porter James at 6 seconds, Sammy at 8, and the bunch is at about 12. So let's see, they're going to get back in again. Now, I think McKay's going to have a big push to get back in again. So here we go. This is the chase on. If you're watching live, if you start on your bikes, this is the back. I think I'm probably most likely to get back on. I'm not sure that our race 3R rider, that is going to be Sandra McKay, is going to make the catch. She's got it 2.8 watts per kilo, but she's got a best part of 30 seconds to make up. We're just in with Sammy Stewart. We're just taking a little bit of a look behind Sammy at the moment.
Yeah, and this course is really tricky, Matt, because not only have we gone up, we're now going down, and we all know what happens when the group goes over the top of a climb and starts descending on Zwift courses. You know, the elastic just stretches hugely as the group just gets faster and faster.
It does indeed. So our riders are just starting to reform as they come down into the tunnels. I think we are split currently into three basic groups. The front group at the moment are actually just easing off, I think. And look at that. That is amazing. Just no sooner said than done. Sammy shouts, hold up. And look, here we go. They're on the way back in. I'm just watching to see where the riders are behind. They're going to come up on to this little bit of a climb. So our Red Beacon group has gone. They've got McKay and Jessup as individual riders. Jessup, I think, is 9 seconds off Hughes. Hughes dropping that roller coaster. So Claire and Claire, time to grab a group together, form a duo. As the pack goes on to the escalator, you can just see Tiff putting a kick to get herself up and get clear. I must admit, this is one of my most disliked parts of the circuit.
Yeah, it's a killer, this. It really, really is. I remember doing a team time trial through here, and you came up that ramp and then into London. You had about 2.5k to the finish. And oh my God, the sprint effort to go up that little ramp was a killer.
So here we go. You can see the damage that's been done. We're just with Emma Gilbert. Good to have you back on the gang again, Emma. Emma, Becky Paul James, Sammy Stewart and co. So I think a regroup as they come in towards Tower Bridge is going to be on its way as they come in past the best named pub in the business, the Broom Wagon. Amazing what you find out when you watch Zwift endlessly like I have to. So enjoy doing Honest Gov. I'll tell you something, I have had dreams about the locations on Zwift. I've had dreams in Zwift type animation. It's quite scary. Emma's looking at me very scared here. It is quite scary, believe me. So our riders on the way through the leading group, just having to just come back together. We're just going to just take a little bit of a check up the road here. I'll tell you something, Sarah Louise Hawkins is on some serious speed at the moment. She's working really well. You can see she's just going along, and that looks like a cadence sensor issue to me, because no revs basically means that there's a cadence issue there. So the group just starting to come back together again. Let's take a little bit of a look at the back here. So Jessup and Hughes, come on guys, this is time to work together here. In 13 seconds you're not going to catch a group here. I don't think that gap should in theory open up. And I think McKay are going to be seeing the likes of Joe Jarvis and Amanda McLady, who are just coming in through the tube station at the moment. So Sammy our Yellow Beacon on the way through here. So here we go. The blob is going to blob up and then ramp up.
Excellent. It's looking good, isn't it, Matt? They're all going to come together now at this front group. We've started to see some riders drop slowly off the back, but still riding really, really strongly. And, you know, looking at our Red Beacon, they've got a great little tick along going at the back there as they're working really well through here. And this is the start of what we're going to see for the rest of this event, isn't it? You know, we're now going to start to see people getting bought off of the back of the group, you need to find your own group. Once you get off of that group, find your own group, find someone to ride with, and work together to the finish line.
So this is when it's all about getting grouped together. Our Yellow Beacon pack. It looks like this group just coming together. Porter James in here. We're just with Sammy Stewart as they come in and around. 24k covered, Emma, of what is going to be, I think, 43k too. Do you know, I never need to know where the blue banner is. We never even bother covering it.
Yeah, so 43k to the blue banner, which is tonight's finish line. So we are pretty much now into the last 20 kilometres of this event today.
So just taking a little bit of a look, Claire Jessup and Claire Hughes. Guys, get together. Work as a duo. You will be able to hold off. I think McKay is going to be chasing Jarvis and McLeod. Now that they're out of the tunnels, going to be able to pick that pace back up. We're just seeing the watts increase and the watts per kilo increase. They start to work their way in and across the bridge here at Tower Bridge. And I have to say, the one thing that's missing from the view at the moment, HMS Belfast should be there. Just on the side of the bank to the Thames. Somebody sunk our battleship on the way through. Not used that one before, might have to use that one again. Like that line. You know, could collect dodgy, old, cheesy lines from that on.
And look at that, as you are wittering Matt about ships, Sammy lifts the pace to 3.5 watts per kilo.
She does. Oh, blimey, it's gone up again. Well, now this is where things are. We're going to start to see bodies at the back. It's starting to be shallow. So what tends to happen on Donny Chaingang, once the pace starts to lift, this is where things get really, really interesting. So as we take a look at the moment, Becky Porter-James, I think is going to be our next rider to get distanced. So yes, Pip, you can disappear off the front without anyone knowing. So that is more than doable on the way through.
Yeah, unless you are wearing fire socks. If you've got your level 50 fire socks, there is an issue with the Ghost because your socks still light the fire behind you. Even though no one can see you, it's just like there's fire going down the road instead.
So here on the Donny Chaingang, Becky Porter-James, the next rider to be distanced. And that means that if she gets together with Claire Jessup and Hughes, that will be a nice trio, a triumvirate of talent, to use a Hugh Porterism. It is a comedy stroke commentary classic. It can be funny or not funny, but it is an absolute classic. A triumvirate of talent, a bit like an anti-penultimate lap. It's another Porterism. You can play Porter Bingo if you really want. Absolute legend and an absolute hero of the commentary world, and good to see still getting out on his bike as well. Now our riders here, Hughes now distance, got McKay, Jessup distance, Porter-James now can see the yellow beacon disappearing off. This is what's left of that group, Emma. The pressure is being ramped, the screw is being turned. We are at 26k. Emma Lysika-Ennis, I tell you something, when Emma Lysika-Ennis first came on the game, she was really giving it some and just about hung it. Now she's up the front giving it out.
Yeah, and this is a real group of who's who, Matt. They've ridden the Chaingang. We've got new riders in there. We've got riders who have ridden the Chaingang before. And that group is rolling really well around that yellow beacon at the moment as they are rolling through London, tapping along at 3 to 3.5 watts per kilo. You know, no one's making anything at the front at the moment because the go hasn't gone. So it's a lovely group rolling along at a really good pace.
They are indeed, and you can see that bunch all close together. Now, the smart money doesn't expend energy when it doesn't need to. If you sit on the front, you think you're going to be going okay, but you know what? It doesn't always work out that way. And this route, because we are on Greatest London Flat, there are a limited number of lines as you go through, as we obviously have discovered as we've gone and checked out when we're on that slightly different route. But just as important as working out the distances, it does mean that you don't get very many power-ups. You only get those as you cross a fixed line, so that could be a lap line or a sprint line. That means it's going to be really, really tricky for our riders. There's a limited number of options as they go out and around the circuit today. So we're going to go to our finishing line at 43k, and by my reckoning, we are going to have one more, potentially one more, maybe two more at the most, lines where you are going to get a power-up. At the most.
Yeah, and I can imagine later on in this, if I was sat in that group, I'd be trying to sit in that little group at the moment, drafting my socks off. And if I had a power up, I'd be holding it for as long as possible, because there's a number of women in there who can seriously push some power through those pedals, and I'd be wanting the power up to stay in that group as long as possible.
Look at this, we've got Charlotte Colclough in here from the Toyota Creo RDT squad. A rider who is phenomenal, and I'm not going to do too much focus now because I will put you money that we're going to see her in contention towards the end. Absolute superstar, and one of the real nice people on the gang.
Yeah, so they're just coming up here, Matt, up on this little climb at the moment, and then we will take a turn at the roundabout at the top. So the group's still a good sized group altogether, currently around 3.5 watts per kilo, so some really nice pace going on here and a really nice way this group is rolling.
So the guys are working well and looking good at the moment. I think if we throw a helicopter up in the sky, you can just see at the moment it's still nicely together. It's all now about when will that trigger be pulled, when will the plunger be hit behind. Looks like Jessup and Porter James together on this climb. So this is the great thing about the gang. There's always someone to ride. What you need to do is find that gang. I think Sandra McKay is aware that behind her you've got Joe Jarvis and Amanda McLardy heading her direction. These three get together, then you've got that extra draft, you've got Jessup, you've got Porter James together, and these two are very quick riders. I think they're going to be right in at such. Baldy at the moment at the back of the group, so looking good, and I think this is going to be very, very explosive when the trigger's pulled. The question will be, when is it going to go? Neither Emma nor I in the studio know. It's always down to our yellow beacon, so that is Russ or Jimmy on the DCG, and in fact it's Jimmy on Thursday. So here we go. The riders on the way through, all quiet on the western front at the moment, Emma.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, who goes long, who goes short? You know, do our yellow beacons have a pattern? What is Sammy's preferred option? Because she is in charge tonight. You know, will Sammy go long and let it go soon? Or will she take it quite close to that line and maybe give them 10 kilometres and that's it? Who knows what Sammy's going to do tonight?
Definitely going to be interesting to see who is able to stay when that trigger's pulled. What pressure is put on the front. A few names that we don't necessarily have seen before. Going to be in here with some names that we've definitely seen before. Those people who ride it regularly. Speaking of which, Tiff Fletcher, the addict, on your screens at the moment. Let's see how they're going to go. So, Anvil on downhill. Know the course. Yeah, it does help though if we tell you exactly which course it is, and it's the right course. Some of you actually wouldn't have known it's Greatest London Flat. However, such is life, these things happen, and it's a bit like real life when you're out on a grand tour, you know, like, because neither Emma or I would ever ridden one, but when you're out and racing, I have raced races that have been cut short due to incidents further out and around the circuit, and that has meant that we've changed direction, changed route, and that is all part of racing, being able to be adaptive and to be flexible and dynamic. It's the only time I am flexible.
Yeah, don't ever ask Matt to touch his toes.
Don't ask me to touch my knees. I'm a cyclist. I don't do stretching. Come on.
You know, look at that. Yeah, whilst you're trying to reach your toes, I'm looking at this thinking this is a really nice group. The group is rolling really, really well. As they are motoring down here at a really strong pace, ticking along in a really fast-moving group. And it's really interesting. I'm loving the chatter around the anvil. They have changed the anvil and what the anvil does and how long it does it for, haven't they, on the last update, Zwift? And you've now got to be doing, I think it is a minus 1.5% for the anvil to kick in. But it does last for a long time and is one of those power-ups that there's a lot of debate and discussion around.
It certainly is. It's one of those power-ups that I would always like to have. Oh, and the go has gone, and there we go. The pressure is on, and the go has gone. Here we are. Who's got the pace? Who's got the power? Who is going to be able to stay with the front of this group? Let's get the drone up. Well, I think Sammy wanted to get in out of the rain. The go has gone. And look at the damage that's being done here. You can see the front of this pack. Baldy at the moment is in there, right up at the front of this group. But you can see Joanne Lee is in there. You've got Charlotte Colclough coming at pace as well. Sammy Stewart's going to make this junction. And as you can see, as they come down in and through, this is the moment where the group explodes.
Look at that. That is just amazing. And Baldy from Socks for Watts, I was sat watching her comfortably drafting at the back of the group thinking, wow, that's someone who really knows how to draft. And the second the go went, 6.6 watts per kilo came out of her pedals. And boy, she's really ripped this apart.
Well, great to see the power, but now it's about sitting in, and you can see the riders have dropped back into a lower watts per kilo, and they're going to assess what damage has been done. So Cindy Gagan, and I would imagine Cindy was racing last night, to be honest. A lot of the riders were. We've got Emma Lysick Ennis in here, Emma Gilbert in this little group. A little further back then, Pip Morn, Sarah Louise Hawkins. We've got Tao in here as well, so Cecile Tao in, so Cecile nicely took into this group then. 4 seconds back, Maddie Smith. It's going to be Kerry Robbins. So let's have a look. Porter James with Jess up here, and they're not that far behind at all. They're on that descent down. Then we've got McKay and Jarvis and McClarty. Now these three, if they work together, going to be able to support each other on the way around. That's all part of the Chaingang. And of course, just like on the DCG, we will be bringing you all of the riders in and across the line, irrespective of whether they are at the front or whether they are in the middle, the back, or anywhere in between. We want to try and get all of our riders over, and we always try and make sure we cover every single rider out on the course.
Yeah, and this red bus at the back is doing great work, Matt. You know, they're ticking along really nicely, and they're not that far behind. But, you know, that's it, isn't it? There's something for everyone on a Donny Chaingang. You know, I've used a Tuesday or a Thursday as a recovery ride and sat with the red beacon the whole way round, getting a great ride at 2.5 watts per kilo for 90 minutes. Or you get to absolutely give it large at the front.
Well, giving it large on the front, Coldclough, Baldy and Stewart. At the moment, this group is whittled down. So we've got Coldclough, we've got Baldy, we've got Stewart, we've got Fractor, we've got Fletcher, we've got Foxy, that's Lisa Jane Lake, we've got Jackson in there as well.
And I tell you what, Matt, this group have got 11k to the finish line, so this is just going to be fast and furious all the way in.
Well, 11k, 20 minutes, and see some FTPs being set. Don't forget, jump onto the Facebook page, on the Donny Chaingang Facebook page, and put in there all of the new FTPs. Show us the pain cave, tell us how the ride went, whether your socks literally got blown off by the power and the pace being put in. Emma Gilbert with Emma Lysick, Ennis, Pip Moore and Chloe Kagan. Look at this. This is a really good group here.
Yeah.
There's 4 riders together. About 5 seconds back, they've got Cecile Towell and Sarah Louise Hawkins as well. They are not all that far off the pace. That could make a really strong 6-rider group there. Webster's a little bit on her own, but she's got Dooley. Look at this. She's got Dooley and Joanne Lee just in front. They're not all that far behind Coldclough's group here. And this group is all that is left up on the front of the ride. So this is about getting the pressure, keeping the pace going. It ramped up, it wound up. Now this is where our beacons really do come into their own, because our yellow beacons are now going to make life difficult, no doubt, for everybody else, because they don't need to worry about winning this. They're there to make life hard, and they are there to really give it. So that is what we want to see. And that is why we've got such great guests. And we've got an amazing lineup of yellow beacons, haven't we, Emma?
We have indeed. So next week, Millie Skinner will be our yellow beacon, followed by Becky Story and then Alison Kinlock. So throughout the whole of October, we have some fantastic yellow beacons. And I'm really looking forward to it. But I'm also really looking forward, Matt, to seeing what happens with this group at the front. The group have settled down, and you know what? Joanne Lee and Emma Dooley are only 14 seconds behind. Webster is with them as well. So that is a group of 3 that now, if they work together and through and off, I think could possibly pull that front group back, because that front group have now backed off a little bit after the initial push from the go, go, go.
And we're seeing some real low numbers in this group as riders now sit in and they're working out. I mean, you've got riders who are known class acts at the front of the national and international pelotons here. People like Sammy Stewart, like Charlotte Coldclough. Clearly Baldy's got some serious power in there as well. But you've also got riders, and apologies if I don't mention you on this, people like Tiff Fletcher could be the dark horse here. She has got quicker and quicker and was absolutely rocketing along at the end of the Chaingang season, and definitely up to pace, and great to see. I think she actually signed for a new team as well over the course of the season, which was really interesting to see. Absolutely fine. An attack goes off the front. No, look at this. Charlotte Coldclough has used the power. She's going to try and drag this out. And as we come up here, we're going to come up to the turn. So that little drag It was a group of 7. Charlotte Colclough. She's pulled Baldy clear at 1 second, but this is going to do some damage. Who are going to be the riders in trouble? Well, it's no one rider here. We are seeing Helen Jackson doing a great job here. Come on, time to dig in here, kiddo. This is where it counts. This is where you've got to push. So Helen Jackson with Foxy, with Fractor. Then we've got Fletcher. We've got Sammy Stewart. Then Baldy is in there, and then Colclough. Baldy sitting on the wheel of Colclough, but let's take a little bit of a look back. The pursuit is on behind. The chase is on. We're at 34.6. So that's got to be too far to run to the finish. Bearing in mind, the finish line is at 43k.
I know, and I think I said earlier, didn't I, that once the go has gone, holding on to Sammy Stewart's back wheel is going to be hard. But boy, it's a grit your teeth time now as Stewart is trying to close the gap to the 2 riders who've put the attack in.
And look at this on a wheel. It's going to be Tiff Fletcher. Fletcher's in there. So we've got basically 2 riders in front. That's Colclough and Baldy. We've got our 2 that we're featuring with our yellow beacon. That's Stewart and Fletcher. And then we've got a group of 3 behind that you can just see tucked in behind our riders here. That is Helen Jackson. It is going to be Foxy. That's Lisa in there. And then you've also got Humus Fractor in there as well. So let's see if that is going to be the case. If they're going to come together behind, that is going to leave a bigger chasing group. But the gap is still there, 3 seconds, and it's actually closer between Colclough, Baldy, Stewart and Fletcher than it is between Stewart, Fletcher and Jackson. So this is a real, almost a team pursuit at the moment. As we take a little bit of a look back and just try and get our drone up in the air and give it a quick spin around, you can see quite clearly those 2 groups behind. Let's just get them just about in shot. So you can see Sammy Stewart's group chasing Charlotte Colclough and Baldy up on the front. So Cassie Baldy absolutely flying at the moment. So Cassie and Charlotte leading. Then we've got Sammy and Tiff in the second duo. Then we've got a group of 3. That's Helen, Lisa, along with Hummers in there. Then we are going to drop back to the group that is going to be Webster's group. So this is technically group 4 on the road, but these are very small groups. That's Webster, Dooley and Lee. Group 5 is going to be Emma Lysika Ennis. It's going to be Cindy Gagan, Emma Gilbert and Pip Morn. Then we go back to Hawkins and Tao. Then we're going to go back to Maddie Smith, who's just on a run at the moment. We've got Jessup and Porter James still working together nicely. Then it's going to be our Red Beacon group here, and this is going to be Joe Jarvis, our Red Beacon. It's going to be Amanda McClarty and Sandra McKay as well. And they're coming around that turn on that classic section of the course. Yeah,
but what's so fabulous, Matt, is looking at this is people have found their group. You know, the fire got lit at the front and the groups have been found on the road, and people are working together either to catch the group in front or just to get to the finish line. You know, and the Red Beacon group tonight, look at that. We've got 3 riders and they're moving at a good pace, Matt. This Red Beacon group led by Joe Jarvis bringing up the rear here.
Well, if you are wondering who it's with, Charlotte Colclough up at the front. It is Cassie Baldy. Cassie, a regular climber in the mountains, regular rider of Fondos in the Alps, and looks like Cassie and Charlotte being joined by Tiff along with Sammy Stewart. So those 2 pairs have become a quartet of riders up on the front. 16 seconds back, you have our trio of riders. That's Foxy, that's going to be Jackson, and it's going to be a Fractor. They are the riders behind. Then another 36 seconds back. This is group number 3, Joe and Lee. It's going to be Webster, and it's going to also be Gilbert in here as well. So Angela Webster, Joanne Lee and Lisa Jane Layton there. Now Dooley, Pip Morn and Lysika Ennis all working hard. All these groups, irrespective of where they are absolutely flying. So at the moment, these groups doing a great job. We're spread out across the course. Our leaders, if we can make our way up to them, well, here we go. It is going to be Baldy who's on the front. So Cassie leading it out once again.
Yeah, so Cassie also riding Matt for Socks for Watts, obviously on Zwift, and a regular Zwifter, as we can see, in terms of her ability to ride this today.
Well, definitely some smart tactics, riding smooth and straightforward, really, really good. So that is absolutely cracking at the moment. So Baldy working well. Then it's Stuart, Fletcher, Coldclough, Jackson, Foxy, Fractor and Co behind, looking brilliant at the moment. And that's what we will love about the Chaingang. Everybody able to put in an effort, and then it's about playing it tactical. And of course that ramped workout gets performance results. We see FTP raise after FTP raise after FTP raise on the way through.
Yeah, so we've got 4 really strong riders on the front here, Matt, as we are now just within 5k from the finish. So I think this is going to be really interesting. You know, if these guys tap around together now, or whether someone's going to put an attack in. So are we going to see a sprint, or are we going to see another attack?
Oh, surely we're going to see another attack. We don't want sprints. For those of you that don't watch some of the other work that we've been doing at Full Speed events, we do a regular e-sports, e-cycling commentary on a Sunday, a men's and a women's race that comes out. And on that, Emma called a 19-rider sprint coming in to a finish with lapped riders in front as they came together. It was very reminiscent, in fact, of me trying to call Otley or Ilkley this year at the National Crit Series. But it's definitely, I don't think Emma wants 2 in a week, but with 4 riders clear, it shouldn't come down to that. And of course, our 4 riders contain Cassie Baldy, Sammy Stewart, Charlotte Coldclough and Tiffany Fletcher. 4 leading riders in here. Who's got the power, who's got the sprint, very difficult to tell, but our yellow beacon doing an amazing job up on the front. Now behind, 22 seconds back. This is now group number 2. So group number 2 on the road and working well. Just a few words of encouragement coming from Michael Clark, one of our guys who's been riding the DCG. A lot of the guys who can't, of course, take part in the ride tonight, watch and messaging supporting. Thank you very much, Michael, supporting our riders on the way through. Now, group behind, it's going to be Lee, it's going to be Webster, it's going to be Dooley. Then we're going to see Lysik Ennis, Gagan, Gilbert, Morn. Then another gap back to Hawkins and Tao. Then it's going to be Maddie Smith. Maddie needs to find some assistance. I suspect this is not too far from the finish. We've got Jessup, and then it's going to be Porter James with her, and then it's going to be our red beacon group. But as you can see, these groups working the way in around London. Remember, we are coming in towards that last part of the course. Time is ticking down. Remember, they've done this course a fair few times. They're going to know exactly what they've got to do. They're going to go to 43k, and by my reckoning, this is going to come down potentially to the run in towards the mountain. It's going to be very close, in fact, I think, as they come in, as they make their way around in to the finish. But we're at 40k, not long to go.
Yeah, and I'm loving the cat and mouse that's going on at the moment, because we're starting to see these riders really take it easy and take it comfy in this top front group of 4. So either someone's getting ready to attack, Matt, which is I know what you'd like,
yes,
or they're just taking it a little bit comfortable because there's 4 of them going into the finish.
Well, you are in there. I mean, I'm not even sure who I want to put my money on. Dark Horse, Fletcher, for sure. Big dark horse, talented, got more speed than the black horse Averts you see from Barclays Bike. But you've got Cassie Baldy, definitely the unknown in this group. We know that Charlotte Coldclough, I mean, come on, she's world-class material, as is Sammy Stewart, and they've proved it time and time again. But it's going to be really interesting to see who is going to take this out. We're in with Fletcher. So Fletcher, 150 beats a minute. Stewart, 168. Baldy at the moment, 166. Let's take a look. Who do we not get to? We'll try and get to Coldclough. No heart rate, interestingly, from Charlotte Coldclough, playing the stealth option there.
Oh, I just jumped on late and didn't quite get everything together.
There speaks the voice of experience. That is for sure. Right, here we go. Over the bridge, we're going to go down into the tunnels. That finish is going to come on that roller coaster road. Where it comes, nobody knows. I'm loving this.
Well, looking at it, we're at 40.8 kilometres travelled, Matt. We got 43k. 43k, so we are pretty much where are we? 2.1 from the finish?
Yeah.
We're 2 from the finish now.
Yeah, it's ticking along very nicely indeed at the moment. So let's see how those riders get on as they continue on through here. It's certainly looking to me like they've got this pretty much nailed at the moment in terms of staying clear. Nobody's going to come back. I can't see that group behind at 14 seconds come back. But having said that, if they finesse too much, they're going to be in trouble. These are the chasers. They're into the tunnels. There's not that much separating them, but this leading group should have this. They're at 1 hour 7 minutes. We're at 41.5k, and we'd have finished by now. Have we been on the right route? I don't know. So here we go. Always love to mix it up. Maybe I randomly type the wrong thing. You never know. It won't be the first time I've had fat thumb or fat fingers and small screen syndrome, but definitely not the case this time round. So here we go. In the blue and the white, the Toyota Cryo RDT squad with the white socks, white sleeves, that is Charlotte Colclough. In the light blue midriff with the darker blue and the pink bands on the shorts with the multicoloured disc, that is Cassie Baldy. We have in the mix Tiffany Fletcher. Fletcher in here in the GB skin suit in the blue there. And of course we have our yellow beacon. Now, our yellow beacons have won before. They can win again. There's nothing to stop them going for this and taking away victory. Can anybody beat our beacons? New title for another ride there for the future. Beat the beacon. So here we go. 4 riders. Who's it going to be? Foxy, Fractor, Jackson behind chasing these 4. We are now at 42.2. So here we go. This is about when do you kick, when do you give it some, when do you wind it up. They know that time is running out. It's going to be ticking down on their screens. I think Tiff Fletcher keeps on thinking about it. You can just see just that avatar. It's almost just hesitating but about to jump.
Hesitating and about to jump, but as Sammy Stewart goes over the top, and I've just seen 10 watts per kilo from Tiff Fletcher, as Baldy and Fletcher goes again, and Baldy goes as Sammy Stewart is leading it out, and we are being led out by the yellow beacon as the road descends in front of them with Fletcher, Baldy and Colclough chasing hard behind.
So here we go, the 3 riders got to chase down Sammy Stewart. Stewart's gone early, she's gone hard. Have they got the power to answer? Stewart goes again at 8.2 watts per kilo. Charlotte Colclough's coming at 7 watts per kilo. Have they got the answer to Sammy Stewart's power? The Cams Basso rider on the front. Behind Toyota Cryo RDT rider Colclough. Then it's going to be Baldy and Fletcher. Are they going to close down? Time is running out for them. So Sammy Stewart is on her way here. She's pushing. She's going to make this. It's going to be Baldy, Colclough and Co behind. You can just see that they come through there. It was indeed Sammy Stewart who held clear to take the victory from the 3 riders around. We are going to jump back in as they go now. Foxy sprinting up, takes the power up. She's going to come in and through, I think, ahead of Jackson and Fractor, and you get a graphic demonstration of why we jump back in. So group 2 come in and over the line there. Well done to them. That's going to be Foxy, Jackson and Fractor in that order. And now you see why we have the little overrun on the way through. So next group coming in towards the finish is going to be Dooley, Webster and Lee. And I think Webster has got the gap here. So this is all about the power. Webster going for this at the moment. So it's going to be Webster who should get this, Emma. She's at 200 metres to go.
Yeah, and I think you're right there, Matt. Webster has broken Lee with a 3-second gap back now to Lee and Dooley behind. So Webster has pushed on to the finish and will indeed break away from that group of 2 riders that was a 3.
So top 10 is going to be a 9th place for Webster. Should be a 9th place for Lee as she comes in and up to the banner. It's going to be a 10th place for Emma Dooley. And then we're going to drop back now. This is going to be the next group who are battling it out here. We are in with our Ionian rider. So let's see how they're going. It is going to be really interesting here. So here we are. The push is on 42.7k, and we're in with Cindy Gagan. Pip Morn goes to the front of this group. The power-up comes in. Look at that. Lysika Ennis, can she make the most of it? There's 100 metres to go now. It's about this last kick in towards 43k, and it looks to me like Lysika Ennis is going to take this out. So Lysika Ennis Morning sprinting in behind, but I think it's going to be Ennis who is going to get that. You'll know when the power comes off. They're side by side, and I think that, there we go, as we go through that is going to be tight. We're going to let them tell us on that Facebook page exactly who it was who took that. So now back in with our next two riders. This is going to be Cecile Tau in the yellow and black, and immediately with her you can see that we've got Sarah Louise Hawkins. They've got 400 now, 300 metres to go. So as they come in towards the banner, and the banner that they can see but we can't, which makes things very unstable.
I know.
So here we go. The 200 metres marker gone when they hit that 43. Basically, when they drop off the screen and drop out of the ride, they've gone through that banner. If it's very tight, they're going to need to let us know on that Facebook page. Don't forget, of course, you can jump on the Donny Chaingang next week as well. So here we go. Next kick coming up. We're at 43. The line is clearly in sight as they push on here. They're side by side. Tao goes for it here at 6.466 from Hawkins. They're going to go through that line side by side. There they go. So in and through go our riders once again, as we go out to Maddie Smith, who's going to be our next rider out on course. Maddie with 51 seconds to Jessup and Porter James. So at the moment, I think Maddie Smith at 42.4k, the Terminator, with about 600 metres to go, Emma.
Yeah, so Maddie comes, she's now on the downhill descent into that finish section, and Maddie stayed clear of the group behind and never caught the group in front, so Maddie's had a little bit of a lonely ride for a short while, but she's bringing in really strongly into that finish now with the last 300 metres to go.
So well done to Maddie, a rider on the way back from injury, doing a great job here, supporting the DCG, the WOW DCG, and a regular rider on the Donny Chaingang. Great to have Maddie back in with us. She's going to come through for 17th position here today. Don't forget the Donny Chaingang rides again tomorrow. That's the Thursday. It's going to be Jimmy Allen as our leader. The Wolf is back. And that means that you're going to have a very random go probably on the way through. And going to be looking forward to seeing Ian Bale, who's going to be our Red Beacon, the former Bolsover and District teammate of Maddie Smith, now riding for the squad. So Maddie goes through in 17th position, which means if we do our magic jump back, the next pair, well, it was a pair, it's Porter James and Jessup. Porter James has pushed on in the last kilometre here for 18th position. So they are continuing to push in to the line. So Becky Porter-James going to be our next rider coming in to the finishing line here today on the WOW DCG, the first WOW DCG of October. A massive thank you if you jumped on, of course. Don't forget, come in, join in. It's not that hard, honest.
No, well, it's whatever you want to make it, Matt, and that's the joy of the Donny Chaingang. You know, if you want to ride, have a social ride and a bit of banter at the back with the Red Beacon, if you want to each week feel like you've got an opportunity to get better and better by hanging on after the go or hanging on to the go. I know when I first rode the Donny Chaingang, when I first rode a Tuesday, I was chuffed because I stayed in for 27 minutes, and every time I rode, all I wanted to do was see how close I could get to 30 minutes. And then eventually I hung in on the Tuesday till the go, and you know, and now you just get better and better, and it's something for everybody as Jessup there comes through the line and we drop back in with our Red Beacon, and the Red Beacon group here, group of 3, and have really motored well around this course, Matt. Today with Joe Jarvis and McKay and McClardy.
Indeed they have, and they're continuing onwards. They're currently at 40.6 kilometres, which means we have got a little bit of a gap. So here we go, our riders on the way in. So Emma, great riding today, some great action on the gang. And I think it's been amazing to see just how those riders have got on. You can just see that they are working really, really well together. And that's what we want to see on the gang, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, Matt. And you know what? As the elastic snapped off that main group tonight, groups formed on the road. The Red Beacon group formed, other groups formed, 2s, 3s, 4s, and they worked together in those groups until they got to the finish line. And that's what it's all about. We saw some phenomenal power plays at the front with attack after attack. Then they sat back, and then they were cat and mousing into the finish, that final group of 4. And some phenomenal riding up there we saw as well. But right throughout, groups on the road, working together, the absolute spirit of the Wild ECG.
Exactly, and from those very early days when Russ came up with this bright idea of putting the Donny Chaingang online, and we started covering it, and it's all developed. And we now have in real life meetups with riders. We have people supporting each other through tough times. We have the Women's Only Wednesdays. We've got a whole load of supporters. DCG gang, of course, keeping the whole show on the road. Without them, it just wouldn't happen, would it? And you've got to say this is the result. People going out, riding, enjoying themselves, and meeting up and riding with new people.
Yeah, and it's amazing, isn't it, what an event on Zwift can actually do. You talk about that social community. 2,500 Donny Chaingang supporters on the Facebook group now.
Yep.
It's phenomenal. And, you know, like you say, that supportive community is absolutely outstanding. And those who are members of the DCG Supporters Club, with that regular weekly email with direct links to the rides, plus all the offers from the sponsors and the prize giveaways as well. So it is such a community, not just about riding your bike, but about so much more than that as well.
It is indeed, and we can see that now as our Red Beacon Joe Jarvis continues onwards. Quick reminder, you can see down at the bottom of your screen 1080 Continental Velaskin, Halo, Nonnas and Gritty and OTE down alongside the Downing Cycling and Full Speed Event logos. These are the people who support the gang. Halo, of course, our title sponsor for the month, and of course Halo with the Great Halloween coming up. We call it the Great Halloween because it always is a great giveaway, and just as importantly, there are some great routes on the gang as well. Really looking forward to that. But Halo with 20% discount for members of the DCG gang, 25 quid for the membership for the month. Gets you all of the ride links direct to your inbox. It means that we'll give you all the details. Normally at the weekend, although as Emma has intimated, this weekend we were busy pumping out a cellar, oddly enough. So we were a little bit underwater in here. There is a reason the soundproofing is where it is in this studio, because we are quite literally underground. It's not called the Old Beer Cellar Studios for nothing. Sadly, it wasn't a flood full of beer.
But normal service will resume, because as of about 3:30 this afternoon, the source of the flood was located and it has now been fixed.
It has indeed. So let's focus back on to our riders once again. McKay at the moment with a 3-second gap to Jarvis and then McClarty. So these are our final run into the finish riders. So Sandra McKay going to be our next rider coming in. Sandra with that little bit of a gap here, and just nicely keeping the revs. Great pedal revs there, good cadence, sitting at 90. Experienced rider McKay. Yeah,
really good revs there. And I think actually utilising your revs on Zwift, I think, is an absolute must. It's a real great technical skill to have, particularly when the courses become rolling, you know, and you go through perhaps Titans Grove or the rollers. If you're going the other way round to the Italian villas, you know, being able to adjust your cadence is a really great technique for riding on Zwift.
And that's one of the things. It's all about making sure that our riders can give it some on the ride, but also get those techniques that play out in real life as well. Although it's real life, you're sitting on your turbo. It's just where you meet people is different. So it looks like McKay, a little bit of a dig up at 4.9 watts per kilo. She comes in and through the line. So it's 20th place for McKay. Now McLardy is going to be our next rider pushing in to the line here. Emma, great ride by McLardy.
Absolutely fantastic, you know, and the Red Beacon group here have motored all the way through, 43 kilometres, 31 kph at the moment, and over the finish line for our last two riders today. Really good, really strong riding right the way throughout the field.
So over the line goes McLardy, and we're going to jump in with our Red Beacon. So a massive thank you to Joe Jarvis. We are going to see Joe a little bit further down, but not all that far at the moment. So well done to Joe, who comes in and alongside Amanda here as they head back into the standard world of the event. Normally this would be a rundown, wouldn't it, Emma, to the blue banner? Not to be today, but I think our riders did an amazing job out there.
I think learning to ride on the hoof was an absolute skill everybody learnt today, and some fantastic camaraderie and some fantastic riding, as I said, right the way through the field. So thank you ever so much to Sammy for being our yellow beacon. Thank you ever so much for Joe for stepping in last minute to be our red beacon as well. Absolutely brilliant riding. And I can't wait to be back on a bike.
And with that, we're going to let Emma go. Thank you very much, Emma, for joining me down in the studio. And I'm no doubt we'll be hearing from you soon.
Yeah, thanks. And see you on a bike, on a Donny Chaingang, or in a studio sometime.
So thank you very much to Emma for joining me on the commentary down here as we watch Joe Jarvis make a way in and through the finish. What remains is for me to say a massive thank you to the guys who make the DCG gang happen. You can see them up there on your screen. OTE, Gritty, Halo, Velaskin, the guys at Nonnas in Sheffield, and of course the team from 1080 and Continental. So whether it's the rubber keeping you on the floor, whether it's making sure you're sitting comfortably or shaving properly, making sure that you've got the best shades in the business in Oakley's, whether you've got that sustainable kit from Gritty, your wheels are spinning carbon wheels from Halo, of course you're fueling yourself with OTE, or afterwards you're diving into Nonnas to enjoy a celebratory meal. Make sure you support the people who support your sport. Don't forget, great offers and discounts all the way through to the end. First, wow, DCG done. Done, all the rest of the season to go, and that's going to take us right the way through to the end of March. So tell your friends, make sure you subscribe to whichever YouTube channel, to the Facebook page, but please guys, come and join us again next week. I'll be back tomorrow for the Donny Chaingang with Jimmy Allen as our leader. I'm going to be kind of busy at the weekend because we have just got the news that we are working and I'm going to be covering on the world feed. So if you're not potentially not in Europe, you're going to hear me for the Gravel World Championships. And that's going to be coming out on Saturday or Sunday. If you're in Europe, unfortunately, unless your VPN is somewhere different than your physical location, you can work out what I'm saying, then you would be able to listen to me. But otherwise, in Europe, you're not going to. But going out to the rest of the world on that. We've also got, of course, Emma and myself on the coverage for the e-cycling on the Sunday as well. And then we'll be back next week with even more Donny Chaingang madness. So from me, Matt Payne, from Emma, from everybody on the Donny Chaingang, stay safe, enjoy yourself if you're heading out and about over the weekend. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.